Tell us what this project for criminal justice is.
First of all, how's it going, Grizzlies? Mr. Settle here from the Criminal Justice Academy. So the project that we did here in the month of May has to do with National Police Week, which starts on May 15th. May 15th is National Police Memorial Day, and that is the day that we recognize all of the officers who have ever been killed in the line of duty in our nation. And it happens to be the day that all of the names of officers killed the previous calendar year get added to the National Memorial in Washington, D.C. So about 10 years ago or so, a project idea that we came up with in the class was to have students pick a state. Each student picks a different state, and then they each go to the Officer Down Memorial page, which is a website that tells students and records all of the officers who have ever been killed in any agency of that state. So the students first pick a state, then they go to the website and they research 3 different law enforcement agencies and read about the different officers and how they passed away. They then have to write a short summary about each incident, and then they have to write 3 handwritten letters to the agencies telling the leader of the agency that we're doing this project. And we try to send the letters out towards the end of April, first part of May, so that the letters make it to the agencies by May 15th, because it's a really big deal for law enforcement agencies across the country. We've been doing it for 10 years. Once the students have written the letters, they come up in front of the class with a picture of their fallen officer, and they tell the class about what happened to him, and then we place the picture on the wall that you see behind me. So each of these people got up each morning just like you and I did. They all put their pants on the same way, their shoes on the same way as we all do. The only difference is they didn't come home that night. So we try to take a little bit of time to remember the sacrifice that they made.
Could you tell us some benefits that students will gain, and then maybe a specific student over the last 10 years who's benefited from this?
Sure. So some of the benefits that I think students gain from this project is number one, they get an opportunity to handwrite 3 letters to people that they don't know. So it gives them a chance to kind of reflect on the information they learned about the officer, and to really understand that these people that you see on the wall behind me, they really were just like you and I. They got up to do a job, a very unique job, and they ended up, something happened, something tragic happened to them, and they ended up not coming home that night. So it's just a moment of reflection, really. Some of the things that over the years that have happened to students here is, for example, there was one student a couple years ago who wrote a letter to an agency in South Carolina. The sheriff's department in South Carolina, one of the cities in South Carolina, got the letter, knew the family, knew the parents of the fallen deputy, and actually drove over to their house to give them the letter from a student 3,000 miles away. And the parents were so struck by the news that some student had written a letter about their son, they felt obligated to jump on a plane and fly out here to California to take that student to lunch. So those particular parents came into our class, talked about their son, and told us all the great things he had done in his life, and then presented a flag that had flown over the state capitol to our class. And they were just extremely grateful. That's probably the biggest one that I can think of off the top of my head. And then obviously Madeline's project. But there's been a lot of them. We've had parents of fallen officers come here. They call us. We've had a couple students besides Madeline that's been on TV talking to people. And I think mostly what the students experience is just a sense of gratitude from these families that they don't know. People reaching out and saying thank you for remembering our son or daughter. And that's really what the overall message that we're trying to put forth here is.
Hello, I'm Madeline Takio. I am a freshman in the Criminal Justice Academy, and for my project I had to research 3 officers, write a letter to them, and I had to give a speech to them.
How has your views changed since doing this project?
So when I first started the project, I was a bit nervous. I thought I only had to do it for a letter grade, but as I researched deeper into the officers, I realized that it wasn't just about me or getting the grade I was receiving. It was about recognizing them and honoring them for the service that they gave their community. And I think that's a really touching thing.
What recognition have you gained nationwide from this project?
Well, I think about within a week of me sending out the letters, I had initially received a email back from the officer's wife. That was really cool. I also was sent a package from the Newington Police Department in Connecticut. I was also offered to have an interview with a news station in Connecticut that I finished recording on Friday.
All around. Madeline, I just want to ask you, in this Police Memorial Week, as we're talking about this, what does it feel like to have the Newington Police Department be so grateful just to get your letter?
It's an honor to be acknowledged, honestly. I wasn't expecting any of this, but I'm really thankful they've reached out to me, honestly.
And
It's an
Chief,
honor.
I know certainly there's been easier times in our history to be a police officer than right now. It must be nice to know that there's students out there who appreciate that.
Absolutely. You know, I can see she's wearing one of Peter's T-shirts that we had sent to her. So I just want to let her know she's just as much a part of the Newington Police family. So, you know, we accept you with open arms. And like I said, I know your parents are proud of you. I'm sure your teacher is proud of you. I know there's a whole group of people here that are just as proud. So thank you.
Well, it's amazing to see one assignment, a nice kid, and a memory. The police department there in Newington bears Officer Lavery's name now, and another remembrance here coming from Madeline's project. So thank you both so much for being with us here on CT22. We're glad we're able to share this story. And just today, remember all the officers that we've lost, but certainly Peter Lavery, who was lost back in 2004. Thank you both for being with us here on CT22.
Thanks so much.